Hey, it's time for the Tammy Talk. Another back video specifically talking about low back pain and strains and sprains. So, if you have low back or hip pain because of a strain or sprain, what do you think caused it? Could be due to sports injuries or falls or trauma. We just had a really big snowstorm here. Then things start to melt and freeze and melt and freeze. So there's ice everywhere. It's real easy to be cleaning up your ice and slip and fall, and you whack your lower back on the sidewalk or the stairs, and then you're just done. Twisting awkwardly, throwing snow, holding too much weight. You go to toss it over your shoulder, which you should never do, by the way. And that weight and the twisting, or you're slipping as you're going to throw the snow and you just wrench your back. And ugh, lifting things that are too heavy. Hello, too much snow on the shovel. This is why the people at the DIY box stores like Home Depot and Lowe's wear those belts that go way down on their hips and they come up like suspenders over their shoulders. It's to help support, keep their spine aligned with their hips and to help support them. They should have training, and OSHA comes around all the time to a lot of different workplaces to make sure that you understand proper form when you're lifting, hold things close to your body and keep your body upright and lift with your legs and things like that. But those belts help with proper posture and it helps prevent back injuries. But really, the thing that helps prevent back injuries more than anything is making sure you understand the limitations plus proper form. But what happens when you end up doing these injuries is you can actually damage ligaments, tendons, and the muscles in your lower back and your hips. And that's why it hurts so much because you've actually caused damage. So then what do? You've got pain, you've got weakness, you've got tenderness, you've got swelling, you've got reduced range of motion. You go to reach for, I don't know, a coffee cup in the cabinet and all of a sudden you're hitching because you can't get as far up as you used to, or you're reaching down to tie your shoes and you can't get down all the way. It's like, oh. So the best things for these are rest, really. And that doesn't necessarily mean sleep. It just means like taking it easy, not doing what you did to cause the injury, and really just taking it easy. And ice, of course, because when you injure muscles, tendons, ligaments, and there's swelling, the ice 10 to 15 minutes at a time will help reduce the swelling. And you've heard me say that Tylenol is my friend for pain, but when it comes to swelling, that's when you want to look at NSAIDs. So the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, Motrin, naproxen, Aleve, the drugs that actually help reduce inflammation. And the reason you want to reduce the inflammation is because inflammation is your body's way of trying to protect whatever you've injured, but in so doing, your body is sending all its little fighters to protect the injury to help start repairing, but there's so many little fighters in there that it just kind of ends up being a crowd, and there's no crowd control. So ice and the NSAIDs will help kind of spread out the fighters a little bit and release that pressure, because really a lot of your pain is going to come more from the pressure from the swelling than it is from the injury itself. So you want to reduce that swelling. And you may have heard me say in other videos, you want to do the ice 10 to 15 minutes at a time as tolerated. Let your skin warm back up so that you're not creating frostbite. You don't want to end up freezer burning your back. And do that over the course of 48 hours or so, and then switch to heat, warm shower, bath, whatever, heating pad to try and get things to relax. but that definitely will help you get the muscles and so on to relax, unswell. You'll start to be able to recover and heal. Those fighters that I talked about will still be able to do their job, but you don't want to have that swelling so you don't have so much pain. So that's what I have for you now with slips and trips and strains and sprains. But always, if you have lacerations, if you've fallen and you have a giant bruise on your back the following day, it might be worth it for you to go talk to your doctor. I know for me, I had a pretty serious back issue and I ended up with fractures. And, that's not something you can diagnose just by looking at the skin. It required an x ray to be able to determine what was going on there. And I had had my fractures for a very long time. And the fact that I didn't tend to them in a timely manner meant that it caused other issues. So the fractures that I had were in the parts of the bones that actually keep the vertebrae stacked on top of each other. So our backbones are kind of like tuna cans or cat food cans, and they stack pretty nicely on top of each other and they stay in line. And all your nerves go right in the spaces in between. And if those bones get fractured and the little tuna cans can't stay stacked, they slip. And it ends up looking, instead of like a nice tall tower of tuna cans, my back started looking more like a staircase. And then what happened is I ended up with pinched nerves. And that's just it, sciatica, loss of control of your legs, loss of control of other things. Women who have had pregnancies probably are very familiar with sciatica. People who have a lot of overweight that they carry in their belly area sometimes end up with a kind of a sway back, and sometimes that creates a sciatica situation. There are a lot of different health issues, conditions that create sciatica, pinching of nerves. And I'm going to talk more about that, the sciatica and the nerve pinching, in tomorrow's video. So stay tuned for that if you want to know more about sciatica and pinched nerves. But definitely, as I've mentioned before, use common sense. If the normal rest, anti-inflammatory, ice, things like that, if it doesn't seem to be relieving it, or if you're bleeding, or if you just have a crazy bruise, call your doctor. Have it checked out. It's better to err on the side of caution and have your doctor say, yeah, it's just a really bad bruise. Keep doing what you've been doing. And yeah, it's going to hurt, but it'll get better. Then that's better than finding out that, you've had a fracture for the last 30 years that you didn't do anything about. So that's what I have for you today, guys. Take care. Bye.